fair choked you. And all winter it was mud, god-awful mud, mud that collected together, mud that was cemented with glue. So when you put down your foot, most of the country tried to stick to the boot when you tried to lift it. Mud so bad that when the snow heaped up and then battered down flat and hard, it was a mighty relief. Mud so mighty bad that we used to hate the coming of spring, because it meant the thaw and the end of the snow and that wet, soaked, sticky ground. Billions of tons of it, all hankering to get into your shoes or your clothes and dry off inside of your shack. So by this you ought to know about when this happened, and also with half an eye at any old map you could tell about where. When the fall came along toward the close, and the sky got blacker and blacker, and the clouds blew lower and lower, with a wet feel in them that you have in your lungs and on your skin before you can understand, we all got pretty mournful, because we knew that pretty soon part of us would have to travel north and start in on that job which we hated. The Bar L outfit worked out a scheme like this. It ranged cows right alongside of the reservation lands. And, of course, it wasn't supposed to range cows on the reservation lands, but a few would be bound to mix over. That was natural. And a few of the reservation cattle would be bound to mix over on our side of the line, and everything was just the way it should be, and nobody could find any fault, because cows have got a natural way of wandering when the feed gets poor, or when the wind is blowing hard and long. But the Bar L outfit beat that game all hollow. The reservation lands were cracking good ones, and there was pasture that would have made the mouth of any cattleman water. And what was to keep the Bar L from just drifting a few more thousands onto that reservation, and then a few more thousands still? The Indians didn't care much. All winter long, an Indian is interested in almost anything more than in how his cows are getting along in the snow. He likes to sit inside and swap lies, unless his belly gets so empty that he has to take in his belt a lot of notches. In the old days, the Indians used to get out and raise the devil now and then in the winter. We figured it that they had a good reason behind what they did, because they wanted nothing so much as lots of chuck and lots of sleep in the cold weather. And when they went on the rampage, we knew it was because some rascal of an Indian agent had been cheating them out of 9/10 of their provisions, which was what happened all the time. However, that didn't make 'em any better neighbors. It was like living on thin ice all the time. You never knew when that ice was going to crack and let you through to kingdom come. In the meantime, here we were, drifting the Bar L cattle in on the reservation lands as fast as we could. And when the spring came, or maybe it was in the autumn, along would come an inspector or two sent out by the government to count the cows, to see whether or not the avaricious cattlemen were taking advantage of the poor Indians by using up their pasture. Well, that was always a funny performance. Mostly those inspectors were honest men, but they didn't know any more about cattle than they did about the man in the moon. You'd think that wouldn't keep 'em from being able to count brands. When you start out and have to travel around a circle for 5 or 6 days, you begin by being very conscientious. But after a while you get tired of riding up and looking at the brand, and you ask the cowpuncher along with you if those are new cattle or ones that they've already counted on the other side of the range. And then the honest cowpunchers ride out and take a look, and they come back and tell you that those cows had already been counted on the far side of the range, and that with the wind where it is now, the cows are bound to do a lot of drifting from one part of the range to the other. Well, sir, I've seen inspectors go out and look 50,000 cows fairly in the eye, and come back and write a conscientious report that they had seen only 5,000, and willing to swear by what they report, and willing to fight for what they've said, because a man hates to think that he has been made a fool of. If it hadn't been that there is this element in our human nature, I would not have to make this confession.